Good evening, YouTube. You guys are watching Meta Monday presented to you by, that's right, TheCaliEffect. Today I wanted to be talking about Heavy Storm and Mystical Space Typhoon. But first, again, I just wanted you guys to know Meta Monday is not bashing or ranting about these cards being in the meta. It's describing how these cards change the meta, how it changes the way people build their decks and the way people play. With that being said, Heavy Storm has always been one of those necessary evil, quote unquote, type of cards. Without Heavy Storm, which we have had a format without, people will set 5 back row. Gravekeepers become a lot better. Heroes become a lot better. A lot of back row reliant decks become a lot better. Mainly because they can set their 5 back row, summon their 1 monster, and most decks like that, they have some type of monster engine where they can keep either recycling monsters, searching out their own monsters, or bringing out other monsters. So you're practically playing a 30 trap card deck, 20 trap card deck. I ran Gladiator Beast in the Chaos Plant format. I did relatively well. The biggest reason was because I can set double War Chariot, I can set double Bottomless, no repercussions. Because the only thing I'd have to worry about were Typhoons, and of course your random Giant Trunade, which really doesn't destroy you. Heavy Storm keeps those decks in check, mainly because your opponent opens up, let's say, double Bottomless and a Compulse. Your opponent is going to want to set, ideally, your opponent is going to set all those traps. Why? Because you never know. They can always be active. But with Heavy Storm being present, your opponent's like, I really don't want to go into the Heavy Storm. I really don't want to set, all of my traps. I might set 1 or 2. But now this is where Mystical Space Typhoon comes in. Since it's at 3, the probability of drawing Mystical Space Typhoon in people that run more than 0 Mystical Space Typhoons, or more than 1 actually, is higher than drawing Heavy Storm. So let's say if I'm scared of Heavy Storm and I set my trap and you go Mystical Space Typhoon. Well, now I can't protect myself anymore. Now I can't stop your amazingly broken combos that you might have. Now you can go off on me and do whatever you want because you destroyed that 1 card with Mystical Space Typhoon. And if the same thing can be applied for Heavy Storm. If I set 2 and you do the Heavy Storm, now I just lost 2 cards because I'm scared of the Typhooning my 1 card. It goes around. It's hand in hand. A thing that people like to bring up is Starlight Road. And while, don't get me wrong, Starlight Road is an amazing card. Being able to stop a Heavy Storm, a Dark Hole, a Torrential Tribute, a Mirror Force, and Special Summon a Stardust Dragon is amazing. But it's just the fact that a lot of decks can't put that much commitment. I mean, you really have to run a large quantity of traps or have a deck with a large field present in order to be able to fully abuse Starlight Road. And then on top of that, it isn't useful for anything else except for Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, Torrential Tribute, stuff like that. When you're on the defense, it can't defend you at all. So it's iffy and iffy. Overall, Heavy Storm changes the state of the game because it changes how many traps are played. It changes how many spells are played. It changes how many monsters are ran, believe it or not. Monsters in a Heavy Stormless format, monsters can be ran less because you have more traps to protect them because Heavy Storm doesn't exist to destroy your traps. Like I said, it's hand in hand. There's a couple of other cards that are like pseudo Heavy Storms, Malevolent Catastrophe, and that jar card. I like that card. I forget what it's called. Please, I don't want to say Morphing Jar. I know it's not Morphing Jar. I know it's not Morphing Jar number 2 because it's not Morphing Jar number 1. It's some type of jar. I apologize. It'll be in the link. What I do know, it's a flip effect, and when it's flip face up, you destroy all spells and trap cards, and both players draw cards for the cards that are destroyed. Now, my theory, me looking at the card, like, great. This is an amazing replacement for Heavy Storm. It's slow. I can't OTK you with it because it's a flip effect. And both players get to draw the resources that they got diminished. It's amazing. If Heavy Storm were to be banned, maybe this card would see a lot more play. Maybe because it's the back row destruction. A Malevolent Catastrophe, when either player declares an attack, or I'm sorry, when your opponent declares an attack, I believe, it's destroy all spells and trap cards on the field. Great card. if Heavy Storm wasn't around, because Heavy Storm's a spell, Malevolent Catastrophe is a trap. You kind of get that. It goes hand in hand. Um, Another thing about Mystical Space Typhoon is that it's a quick play. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but summoning Hanzo in my Mist Valley Ninja deck, adding the Jiu-Jitsu card, activating the Divine Wind, and setting the Jiu-Jitsu, I automatically lose to Mystical Space Typhoon doing that play. Why? Draw phase. I'll activate the Nujitsu, tributing my Hanzo. They'll chain Mystical Space Typhoon. Guess what? Tributing is a cost, so Hanzo's going, and I lose my Nujitsu art for nothing. And it's a couple of other tricks that Typhoon gets around in. Like for instance, your opponent call it a Hunnits. I chain Typhoon. And this is in the middle of battle phase. I chain Typhoon. Call it a Hunnet gets destroyed, you don't get your monster. Typhoon is also another one of those cards that changes the game by this way, just because it's a quick play. People say that Night Beam are just as good. No, not really. Because while you say the card can't be activated, if let's take Call It a Hunnet, for example. If you activate Call It a Hunnet, Night Beam on targeting my Call It a Hunnet, I can chain my face down or my whatever Mystical Space Typhoon or whatever other card to Night Beam. The ruling behind Night Beam is that if I chain a card to Night Beam, I can activate the card you targeted. And that's why Night Beam's seen a lot less play. Thank you guys for watching the Cali Effect, though. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what do you guys want to see about Meta Monday? What's changing in the meta in your local area, in your regional? What do you think is going to change the game forever? Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.